Right, it's just a week later that I did the live public broadcast. I have 3 clips ready to share. The first is a man from China explaining why he's not having kids, and I think he succinctly explains many people from that generation in China and around the world, even if circumstances aren't as obvious and have been happening over decades in America and Canada, where there's just this like increased stress in life while it's just increased stress, right? We're expected to look after children and our parents. There is what used to be a decent life with a decent income. Having graduated from high school, you now need a university degree with all of that debt. You can't get the job. You end up working for minimum wage anyway. Why is anyone bringing kids into this world? So we're going to let him talk. Then we're going to listen to me on Maslow's. So I don't think we do mention Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're going to listen to me talk about privilege. That's definitely tied to Maslow's hierarchy. And then we're going to listen to Seventh Fire Messenger, Anishinaabe, talk about the Maslow hierarchy of needs and how it was co-opted for the Blackfoot people. I might have that wrong. I might have the people wrong. He says it in the video, and he'll say it better. So let's just start with the videos. Let's just start here. I fast forwarded it. I fast forwarded to the part that's not ready. So I'm just going to use the timestamp that I had up and ready in the description, because that'll be better than me trying to re-find the timestamp. Oh, no, that was not what you wanted. Nope, that was not it. That was not it. It did not copy and save. Okay, edit. Let me copy and paste, will you? Come on, come on. We can do it. We can do it. Oh, I see, because I did. It did copy and paste. It just copy and pasted the title as well. It's not my first day on the internet. Okay. Escape out of there. I hate this has to do. Okay. Now make it big. Now. By the way, I don't edit. I don't edit long form content even when I'm not doing it live. So just fast forward to the relevant parts. I'm here to create a world that works for everyone, not here to make social media content, but the social media content, the message behind it, what we are doing here is big and huge. I know how to dismantle capitalism and create a world that works for everyone. While doing that, I did it the best of my ability, recording unlisted videos and bumping up against my comfort zone. 2023 hit and I realized I had been exactly where I was meant to be, doing exactly what I was meant to be doing, recording it in exactly the means I was meant to. I'm basically starting a religion around me, my purpose, without it being a religion. It's a lot. It's a lot that's going on. I don't have my hierarchy of needs met. I need people to support me in literally food. I mean, I can still breathe. I can still drink. But food, I need gifted food. Not so I cook it myself. I need fully gifted from nature. All food's gifted from nature, but we have polluted it with our marketplace. We've polluted it with the greed. So there's a lot going on. I'm trying to figure out my next pieces while it's still running from them, because I'm still me and still allergic to in-person community, it appears. Not able to. I don't know what's up. But let's watch the videos, and then I'll ramble on about my hierarchy of needs at the end after we've watched the videos.
Having children isn't something that people earning 3,000 yuan or $400 a month should even be thinking about. This reflects the pessimistic outlook of China's young generation. They don't want to have children and have the next generation repeat their lives of working overtime with low pay from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, 6 days a week. Here's the man who gave one of the most complete answers for not wanting to have children, and we've aired a clip of his speech before. Why am I childless? Folks, is it because I'm infertile? Absolutely not. As of now, my body is healthy. All health indicators are roughly normal. I have no children purely because I can't afford them. I mean, I can support them in terms of survival, but I can't raise them well. If it were only a matter of adding a pair of chopsticks, a bowl of rice, and raising children to work in a farm field, I have more than enough. But if I were to provide them with a scientific diet of safe, non-polluting, staple foods and complementary food, vitamins, and nutrients to arrange preschool tutoring classes, or if I were to have them learn piano, dancing, English, painting, and swimming, to have them work out in a gym and attend a private school, to have private lessons at home when teachers don't teach at school, or when they fail to get into a university of 985, I was able to send them overseas to study, and when they returned, I would have their wedding gifts ready and help them buy a home with 2 bedrooms plus a car. And finally, they gave me some fat little grandson. If I were to raise children by these standards, I can't do it. Maybe people would ask why you need to meet those standards. Who is forcing you? If you can't afford private schools, then attend public schools. If you can't afford piano lessons, then learn some folk art like clapper talk. Problem solved. Nope, that won't do. Who is forcing me? The general environment. Everyone is doing it. Can you avoid it? As the saying goes, do you want your children to lose on the starting line? It doesn't matter if it works or not. If other people's children are doing it, I must let my children do it as well. Look around. Parents nowadays all seem proficient in playing music, chess, books, painting, martial arts, and calligraphy. Their children might not be as good, but anything less would mean they won't be as competitive. Not to mention extracurricular classes. At 7 a.m., the kid needs to go to school. Who will take him? At 3:30 p.m., when school is over, who picks him up? The teacher invites parents to school all the time. Who can make it? Who will keep an eye on the kids' homework every day? Handwritten posters, homework, decorative paintings, etc. All sorts of festivals and holidays. Parents are asked to fund the decoration of the classroom and have a good relationship with the school leaders. June 1st, Children's Day, was just on the top of the news search where it was the center of attention. On Children's Day, parents played beauty warriors on stage. Let me tell you, I watched the show. It was great, but do I have this kind of energy? And once the child is born, who will take care of it? These colleagues of mine have all left their children behind. Hey, both parents are busy. Grandparents take them to school and pick them up after school. On weekends, they say they want to take their children out to play, but the company needs you more than the children. We live under the same roof, but the children don't see their parents even once a month. Look, if I never see my child, what's the point of having a child? So far, I don't feel that I am ready to be a parent. Everyone advises me to have my own children and that I'll get used to it after a while. Your own children are cute. You will enjoy them. I know, but I still feel that I am a child myself. I am too selfish and childish. I complain about the hardships and difficulties of life every day. I am far from mature enough to raise a human being. Can I keep him from crying out on the flight? Can I keep him from running and goofing around in the movie theater? Can I teach him not to bully his classmates and not to be bullied at the same time? Can I treat him as an equal when he asks questions? Maybe I would be okay to be a parent, but if I don't think I could, then I don't deserve to be a parent. The fertility rate is declining, and people like me are to blame. It's projected 7 million or so new births in 2024. I can hardly imagine giving birth to a child and exhausting myself with my time, wealth, energy, and patience to raise him to adulthood. The day he graduates from college, I would call him to my side and tell him, "Son, you have grown up. Next, your father will pass on all his life skills and the art of ass-kissing. Now go and take the beating of society and face the test of life. I, at the same time, need to go to work overtime as I am not 65 yet and still must work. If we were lucky, we would work in the same office building. On the 11th floor, I am working overtime. On the 18th floor, my child is working overtime. At 12 o'clock at night, we, father and son, would carpool back to the home where we had just finished paying off the mortgage. On the weekend, we all get together to discuss how to get him a mortgage. I've always been asked, aren't you afraid that no one will take care of you when you get old? I don't have children, so I can burden them. Moreover, even when I get old, he would still have to work overtime, right? He must make money, right? So raising a child doesn't protect you at old age. Having money gives you protection at old age. I was also advised, shouldn't you consider it again? It's actually not as complicated as you think. So I have stopped thinking about this issue. I read online that a mother wrote in a letter to her child saying, Your mother has already experienced and confirmed that the world is happy and joyful, so she brought you here to experience it. I'm here to tell you, my son, your father has already experienced it for you, and what I experienced in this world is different from that mother. So if you want to experience this world, go reincarnate in her family. Next lifetime, I also want to go to that family too.
你要是想体验呐，上他们家。
Someone commented, not by
If that doesn't explain it. All right, I am going to up the video I made, but first I'm going to read the description because as it goes, sometimes I'm better able to articulate it in words after I've already done the video. So let's see if I did it this time. It is not, I'm just going to come make sure I am in fact on unmuted. Move these things closer together so that I don't need to keep worrying so much. All right, now I'm going to go read it. I could just read it from that point, but no, it's easier here. Okay. It is not that privilege does not exist. It is just that it makes me feel like I want to beg for more privilege from those who possess it, and it is non-transferable. I find it easier to understand and be empowered by a different metaphor. We all have containers of trauma of various sizes, but they are all full up. People with teacup trauma may have issues we cannot understand, how it fills them up because it is so easy compared to our own lives. No matter how big or small our trauma, it is yours and very important to you. The Karens of the world have a small teacup sized containers of trauma with first world problems. They have as much as they can handle. How can we label them fragile and demand they take on more? This is from 3 years ago when I thought Karens were just talking to managers. I wasn't aware of the racist portion of it. People in poverty and intergenerational trauma who encountered racism, ableism, and homophobia daily have huge swimming pools full of trauma. It is not fair they have to carry so much, but there is nowhere else for it to go. Everyone is full up. All we can do is heal our own trauma so that we can take on a bit of someone else's and lighten the load. The more adversity you have had to go through, the more resilience and eventually anti-fragility develops. Those people who have healed their trauma have room to offer healing. Teacup-sized containers, even if fully healed, can only take on shallow trauma from others. Swimming pool-sized trauma can feel overwhelming, but with any healing, it becomes a massive capacity to help others. I want to stop begging for privilege from the top, or even for them to acknowledge it, as it is too much effort. I want to weave anti-fragility from the base up. And now let's add it in and watch it. Basically, want to watch what I just said, but in a longer format. Sorry, this was from June 6th. Today, my brain can't end there. June 6th, 3 years ago, 2020, but June 6th, which is a date. We are going to talk about privilege. And it is a concept I have looked into, I'm familiar with, and I get it, and I don't think it's helping us. And I think this morning I tapped into why it's not helping us. And when I think of my areas where I have privilege, and when I think of the areas where I don't have privilege, and I think of all those other people who have privilege, part of what I want to do is obtain some of their privilege. It's like they're rich and I'm poor. I want to go up to like the white cis able-bodied man and be like, please, sir, can I just have a little bit of your privilege? Just a little bit. And they can't, because it's not transferable. Even if they wanted to, they can't transfer it. And so we're asking all of these people to acknowledge their privilege when there's nothing they can really do about it. And I think there's a better analogy that actually puts us in power, actually gives us our own individual empowerment. And that isn't that we're walking around with buckets of privilege that people could yet not transferable in any way. That instead, where every single person on this planet is walking around with their own container of trauma, and they're full up. So the Karens of the world have their little teacup of trauma. Oh no, can we meet the country club requirements this month? Oh no. That is like, it's laughable to me that might be their trauma, but it's theirs. It's central in their life, and they're full up of trauma. They cannot take on anymore. Whereas other people are walking around with big, huge buckets of trauma. They have poverty and intergenerational stuff. They have racism and sexism and ableism being thrown at them constantly. They have big, huge buckets of trauma. There's nowhere to pour their trauma because everyone's full up. And as they look, it's like spilling everywhere, and they got a bigger bucket, so it's having more of an impact. Karens are like, I don't know why you're making such a mess. My little teacup never really makes a mess. But the beautiful part of this analogy, so I'll get to that in a second. In this world, we don't know how to deal with our own trauma, even though there's nothing more beneficial to your own life than healing with your own trauma. Sitting with your own shadow and healing it and loving it is never going to, like, the payoff from that, there's nothing greater. And yet we still don't do it. And yet what we're asking is someone we've labeled as fragile to take on more. They can't handle their own trauma, let alone your huge bucket of trauma. But what I can do as an individual, no matter how big or small my bucket is, to acknowledge I have a bucket of trauma, heal it, to give myself any amount of capacity to offer to take on somebody else's. How can I lighten your load? How can I help you? But I can't demand anyone else do that and take on my trauma. Take on my trauma. They can't. They're not capable. They're full up of their own. And the beautiful thing is that people, with the larger your trauma bucket is, and the more healing you do, the more capacity you have to heal this world. The Karens of the world, with their tiny little teacup of trauma, even if they fully healed, which is impossible, even if they fully healed, they have a tiny little capacity for your trauma. And that's if they're fully healed. And so we've labeled, especially white Karens, as white fragility. And yet we're asking them to take on more. How can we label something as fragile and ask it to bear more weight and not see that that would absolutely crush it? Because there is a truth in that. There's a truth that their little fragile teacup is full up and they can't take on anymore. But we can. We can heal ourselves, and we can offer the resiliency to heal each other. And when we stop begging for privilege and just start interweaving the resiliency and anti-fragility, we can create a world that works for absolutely everyone, where we're not begging for privilege. We're actually healing our trauma, all the trauma, and all of the spilling that comes out in the world in all the ways. Oh, a better world is on its way. Please like and subscribe. See you next time. All right, so this is the last film, and really the reason I'm doing the other two, because he's going to explain it better.
When they say natives were running around killing each other before colonizers showed up with sticks,
Thieves and beggars never shall.
who was running around doing what now?
So that video really made a lot of people mad. You see, the main point of that video is that if you're in a violent society, you're going to develop armor and weapons. And if you're in a peaceful society, you're going to walk around mostly naked because you don't have nothing to worry about. Let me delve into this a little bit deeper, because we all know the colonial narrative where it says that, oh, because they had more technology and they were more advanced is what allowed them to win. But I'm going to say I don't think that that's the case at all. I think it really comes down to 1,000 to 2,000 years of societal development. And if we just go to the basic hierarchy of needs, And we look at that, you need your needs met in order to get to self-actualization. You need your physiological needs, your mental needs, your emotional needs. Then it gets to your spiritual self-actualization, your purpose, your fullest self. So I think if a society lives in a state where it doesn't have its needs met, it will develop armor and weapons to be able to go into neighboring societies and take resources in order to get their needs met. Whereas if a society for 1,000 years was living with all of their needs met and at the top of the teepee in self-actualization, they would have formed a more respectful, humane society, one that is more based on spirituality. Now, the craziest part about the hierarchy of needs is that it was appropriated actually from the Blackfoot tribe. You see, Maslow went and spent time with the Blackfoot tribe. Pause to read and pause to read. You see, I think he went and sat with some spiritual leaders or a medicine man, and they explained this concept to him, and he appropriated it. You see, the part that he left out is that when you live in self-actualization at the top of the teepee for centuries or generations, it leads to the next aspect of community actualization, when a whole community works together at the same level. So my theory is that the natives, for thousands of years, were living at the top of the teepee, and they developed a sense of community and mutual respect. And so when they had conflicts, death was not the goal. Whereas in European societies, they were living at the bottom of the teepee without their needs being met. So it was more of an act of survival where I need to take your resources and make sure you're not alive to consume those resources because we need enough and we don't have enough. And this all had to do with each society's respective relationship to the land, right? The European societies kind of used up all of their resources early on, while the natives, because they had the philosophy of only take what you need, there was an abundance for everybody. I think the most technological advanced society would be the one that doesn't need to kill in order to have its needs met.
Right? The more technologically advanced society is the one that doesn't need to kill to get its needs met. I was trying to find it in case I could play it, but it looks like I didn't record it, or at least I didn't record it with a title that I can find it easily. I believe it was at the end of 2022. I was using ChatGPT and having a conversation about Turtle Island previous to colonization and after colonization, and it gave the route like, yeah, there were good things and bad things, and I was like, let's go over that, shall we? We went over each area of life. What did education look like? What did healthcare look like? And at the end, it was very clear there was not a single thing the colonizers brought aside from war. The weapons were the only thing, and quite frankly, that's not an advance. A society with weapons, when you were living peacefully, is not a gift. And so education, healthcare, food, governance, everything was better before my ancestors arrived, before our pale ancestors arrived. Decided Turtle Island was full of abundance that the locals didn't value. Instead of, it was full of abundance because of their values in the earth, their values in one another, their values in their children, all people, all family. Wasn't a perfect society, wasn't utopia. There was still death, there was still starvation, I'm sure, in some areas, if there was natural disasters. But it was based on a higher up, the hierarchy of needs structure. People not extremely traumatized, without a connection to the earth, without a true connection to God, because you have to go through someone else, without a connection to one another, running away from intergenerational trauma, running away from the earth we had destroyed. You can't have a piece of farmland, have 20 children, and pass it on to all of them. That is a world of war. And the hierarchy of needs, if we have people around us who don't have food, who don't have clean air, who don't have clean water, who don't have their base met. They're not going to be able to offer more. And that's the only people on the planet right now who actually are offering more, are those who are at the base of survival. They're not at the base of Maslow's hierarchy of needs because they've figured out, right, in that, how to find joy, how to find connection, how to find community. China has had, I don't know for how long, for decades though, a culture of 996, working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. So the grandparents are raising the children. And our society, Canada and America, that fought so hard, right, theoretically, for a 40-hour work week, no longer has a 40-hour work week, right? There's people who can't find work for 40 hours and people with gig work who weigh more than 40 hours. Why are we having children if we have no time to spend with them? Why are we having children when all it is to pour competitive crap into them so they can compete with other children to stomp on the hierarchy of needs? Or we can raise a society of children that actually cares about one another. What was here on Turtle Island before? The people who were here on Turtle Island before, their descendants, have huge Olympic-sized swimming pools of trauma today, right now, while they're trying to teach us, while they're trying to heal the earth. And I know we can do it all. The issue is my hierarchy of needs isn't met right now. I need food. I need connection and community in person without needing to executive function to do it in any way, shape, or form. And I can't be the one to fulfill that. I've already fulfilled my needs as much as humanly possible under my one little hyper-independent self. I need other people, and I don't know how to call in the other people. I don't know how to accept the other people. I don't know how to ask for what I need, but I know how to admit that. And I know what is coming through me. I know what has already come through me. I know the power of solution raising, peer coaching, and we weave in and of themselves, and the power of whatever the hell 2023 has been with the 2004 movies and the weird connecting of the dots, where God has shown up in technology online in the algorithm in a way that, I mean, was way before technology, but shows up through all of history. The Titanic, 9/11, the Olympics, the modern day Olympics starting in the 1800s. All of it. We are deeply, intimately intertwined. I need people who are curious enough, who want to see what I see, who want to create what it is that is coming through me in the chaotic, amazing way that it is coming through me. And who want to work with me as an individual when I don't even know what that looks like, right? I think that's the only way I can be transparent. It's going to be a little chaotic. It's going to be jubileeing. Anyone? Everyone? Yeah. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, though, if we're not, I've gotten pretty good at not having my needs met and still being okay, right? Still being like, I'm in stasis. We're okay, but we're not going to thrive without other people. I can't improve anything. I'm at Pareto's distribution. I'm doing the 20% that's giving me the 80% in every area of life with next to no energy to be able to do it, next to no money to be able to do it. I have relationships and connections, but I cannot utilize them, cannot see them. There's too much energy to maintain and do all that. So let's just pretend. Let's pretend I don't have relationships. My health, right? And these are the areas of peer coaching. And the areas, actually, let's just do that now. I was like, let's end this. It's like, that's not what this channel is. People can watch the beginning and not watch the rest of it if they don't want to. The 4 areas of peer coaching are health, relationship, time, and resources. We look at one of those 4 areas, where we are, where we would like to be, and what's stopping us from getting there. And then as peers, we help each other remove as many of those barriers as possible. And peer coaching is powerful, especially for little PDAers like me, because if you tell me what to do, it's going to be a no. It's going to be a no. If I tell you what to do, it might be a no if you have PDA or not, right? But I can hear what I tell you to do and be like, I hear my piece of that. Yeah, I hear my piece of that. 2 people telling each other what to do does not trigger my PDA in any way. And then I can definitely learn, because I can judge and say which parts are going to trigger pieces in me and be like, oh, that's because it's bringing out something in me. So peer coaching is a very powerful tool because you both give advice that is yours. you get advice that is yours, and you watch other people. And those are 3 powerful ways to get what you need to get. Just expressing where you are in life can often help you. Just writing it down, the pre-work that no one ever does, but they do it in the moment, can help a lot. I did peer coaching with people for like a year and a half. Powerful, very powerful. However, my inability to network, my inability to keep asking people to ask people to come, and me no longer being able to do a weekly meeting without, and I can't give anything else until the world gives me something. Me being on strike is like, right, I don't think I can even go back to peer coaching. Someone else needs to co-coach a session and have that go forward. I can no longer do the things I was doing before, and I'm not meant to be, but it's like, well, what am I meant to be doing? What is the thing? What's the thing I'm procrastinating from? Once I have people, so I can be my tree. Everything that's been coming over the last decade comes fast. It was in January. Wow, being in flow, being connected was big. Creating, I don't even know what that necessarily looks like, but I have a lot of inklings, a lot of understanding what our lives look like. Is a big, large house in Vancouver with a intergenerational family-like unit that's committed to living life, eating, playing, entertainment, while doing the purpose, the thing that is coming through me, the thing that dismantles capitalism, not by working 80, 90, 100 hours a week, by working 10 hours a week, maximum on the world saving stuff. Everything else, life in general. And everything is about living your purpose into the world. I don't want people to sacrifice their purpose for mine. That is not the point. The point is if our purposes intertwine. My purpose is to live at the center of my Venn and create a world that works for everyone. And I've been doing it powerfully. And I need other people. And I'm allergic to asking and accepting help. So it's like, it's that piece of it. It's the, hello, I'm Jubilee, I'm an alcoholic. It's like, hello, I'm Jubilee, I'm a personaholic. No, the opposite. Person phobic. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the thing is. But acknowledging that I need help, which is what I've been doing all along anyway, but like really, truly with this piece of it, I can't do a single other thing than I am doing without other people. You're wasting your time on internet, squabbling internet. No, I'm not, because dealing with Allison Priestley, who is the big internet bully that is having a hard time. She's having a big, huge mental health crisis. Like, she is going through a hard time, causing a lot of havoc. The people who are possibly drama farming her are causing a lot of havoc, getting a lot of entertainment. It's like this lesson in 2023. I remember where I was going with that. There was a reason for bringing up Allie on this channel. But when people's needs aren't met, right? They narc-nate all over the place. So the more we can get our needs met, the more I can get my needs met. It's like, I need my needs met so I can meet the world's needs. The world needs its needs met so they cannot constantly be at war with each other. Stronger armor is not going to help us. Says the person, I know I have armor. I know, I'm in a little shell. Just a little like, there's an India Ree song. In order to learn to fly, gotta break the shell, something along those lines, and which I actually got introduced through Kyle Cease. Love that song, and I would listen to it on repeat. And my 2-year-old daughter at the time was like, I want to break a shell so I can fly. And I was like, I'm sorry, I haven't traumatized you enough for that. Like, but it was like deeply like, it's a metaphorical flying, right? Metaphorical. I know I have armor to keep myself safe. And until I'm safe with people, I can't really dissolve it and let it go. There's a safety that comes with people. And it's like a catch-22. And all I can do is own the catch-22. I know there are people out there who are amazing at the peopling, right? You can offset people who aren't. I know because I have and have had them as friends my whole life. The best friend who they're my whole social network because they're the people person. And I just tag along. Except that can't work anymore because, again, centered around my purpose. But like, I know there's people out there who are much better at this process, and it's about owning that. I have done a lot of the interpersonal work and the extrapersonal work of breaking down the hierarchy, breaking down I think this person's better than me or worse than me. That's the whole lifelong process. Am I putting this person above me or below me? Nope. And life is constantly putting people above and below you and being like, oh, why did I do that? Why did I think that? That's interesting. Let's deconstruct that a bit. Constantly on repeat, because our entire society is about a hierarchy, not the hierarchy of needs, the hierarchy of people. Based on a lot of arbitrary stuff and some not arbitrary stuff. Some of it is skills. Some of it is the meritocracy that I in no way agree with, because meritocracy gives you this craziness we currently have, where everyone is who's leading our corporations, leading every area of importance, leading every country, is parked on top of Mount Stupid on the Dunning-Kruger effect. High competence, low competence. The China Insight we watched earlier, before watching that one, there was one on agriculture. Wheat is rotting in the field because of bureaucracy, because they have spent too much money on COVID. And so they need more money. So they have a quota on fines. So they have the vehicles lined up for a week, not letting them through, telling them they're overloaded, giving them fines. Because that's their job, right? Their job is a quota on fines, not to make sure there's enough wheat, not to make sure the price of wheat doesn't go up. And these ripple effects of like one person doing their job, but the person on top not understanding the ripple effects. Every area, everywhere. Those who think they know absolutely don't know. And who we have in charge of every organization are the same idiots who go down into a Titan, into a submarine that has been said, right, this is gonna break eventually. No, it's not. It didn't before. It will break eventually. It's gonna get weaker every time it goes down and comes back up. Nah. You can't argue with physics, yet they're doing it constantly. And they're doing it in a room of echo chamber where pass risk on to everybody else, including their own grandchildren and their own great-great-grandchildren. That is what was happening on Turtle Island. An actual reverence for future generations, right? Actually giving a fuck about what you're leaving for your great-grandchildren, who you will never meet. Europe didn't do that, or they wouldn't have colonized the entire planet, right? Because you can see the extrapolation of what that does. You'd sit with your shit. Learn to live with the land. Learn to live with one another and not constantly be at war. Sit with your shit till you're not constantly at war, internally and externally. But you can't, right? Peasants have no amount of power. They ran away to feed themselves. Ran away because that's what they were told to do, right? You get land. This is the right thing to do. You're starving here. There's so much abundance there. Why? Why was there abundance there? It wasn't because it wasn't being utilized. That abundance was on purpose. That abundance was the opposite of what was happening in Europe. All right, I'm going to end this here. And I will be back next time. You can click the watch next time. I'm doing these ones public. I'm sure once there's actually people watching, I'll run away. Because that's how I roll. Everyone projecting onto me that I want to be famous, doing everything for clout. If only. If only that's who I was.